Freedom is becoming less popular around the world. Is Trump winning converts, or are Democrats just jumping ship? And it feels nice, but it just isn't right. Stopping bullies is bad. That all next on The Michael Newman Show. Welcome to the show, Michael Newman. Michael Newman Show. Yes. Now, I could have done one podcast, but I'm not. I'm doing two separate podcasts because I hate myself. That's right. You notice I'm wearing the same shirt as the one. It's because I'm recording these things back to back. I didn't do one yesterday. I didn't have the mental brain power to do it yesterday, so I'm doing two today, and that'll make up for it, right? Right. That's what I thought. Anyway. Let's see. Go to the website. Almost forgot about that. MichaelNewmanProductions.com. Real simple. You can get the links for today's show there. You can contact me. Just click the contact link and send me an email. Follow me on Twitter, too. Newmaniac1 is my Twitter handle. And check out the services link that shows you what the sort of services I can provide for you. And, of course, support the show. Just click support there. It's big and blue. It's right there, the first thing you see on the website. And it'll take you to a page that describes Patreon for you. And then you can go to my Patreon page and support the show for as little as $1 a day. I was just looking at the news right before I started doing this. And I noticed this real quick. I don't usually do celebrity news. I don't, because I don't care a whole lot. But it's Friday, and I figured I'd do a story here that's really kind of disgusting. Remember Twilight, the Twilight series? Okay. Full disclosure. I may have it on DVD. I'm not going to confirm, deny. I'm just saying may. Anyway, Robert Pattinson was the hunky hunk in the Twilight movies there. Actor, pretty good actor, not too bad. Robert Pattinson, this is the headline. Robert Pattinson asked to perform sex act on dog for his latest film. Sex act on a dog for his latest film. I'm not kidding. That is the headline. Of course, the request didn't go over very well as he was banging a goat at the time. Get out of here. I'm busy. Get out of my trailer. If you're going to come in here, bring some hay. Something. Tie this thing up. Keeps kicking me. Sorry. Real story. The second part, not so much, but, How far, what's the line of demarcation on freedom? Freedom versus tyranny, what's that line? Okay, I mean, they're two diametrically opposed things, freedom versus tyranny. So there's got to be a point where one stops and one begins. Right? Are they as far as from the east is from the west, or do they buttress up against each other in the sort of government society that we have today? And if they do buttress up against each other, is that line thick or thin? Is there a stark razor's edge demarcation, or is there some overlap there that we have to deal with? This is a question you should put in your head. How far, when do we know we're in a tyranny? What is a tyranny in the United States? Gavin Newsom, he is, isn't he the mayor of L.A.? He's running for governor. And he's running around all over the state trying to peddle his stuff. And he was talking about San Francisco. And somebody in that crowd mentioned protecting the planet. And his response is, we thought gay marriage was controversial. He said, we required composting in San Francisco. That was controversial. Required composting in San Francisco. They actually had garbage police that were checking into cans to make sure the eggshells were in the proper bin. They were using the power of government to enforce a religious belief. So, how far is tyranny? Where's that line? Is the government of California a tyrannical place? I would say yes, it is. Very much so. Your eggshells in the wrong bin? Are you kidding me? freedom is not liked throughout the world. Unfortunately, just the average everyday people don't understand what freedom is, and when they realize what it is, they don't particularly like it because freedom and personal responsibility are not separate things, are not linked things. They are the same word. The more responsibility for yourself you take on yourself, so if you're completely personally responsible, you are 100% free. That's how you do it. And when someone else is responsible for you, you are less free. When you're a child, your parents are responsible for you. They're responsible for your actions. They're responsible for your well-being. Everything that is you, they are responsible for because you're a child, right? So you have no freedom. You only have the freedom that mom and dad give you, and they can take it away at a moment's notice. So you have no freedom. But as you get older and you become more responsible and you can take care of things on your own, and at some point you reach the legal age of majority, which is 18 in most places here in this country. Matter of fact, I think it is from sea to shining sea. You are essentially an adult, and you take on a tremendous amount of responsibility. So if you decide to go crash a car and kill somebody, you and you alone are responsible for that act. You can also sign contracts and run up debt and all these big things, and then you have to take care of it. So you are more free. You have a decision to make. Am I going to run this nun over or am I not? You're free to do that. You're free to make that decision. Now, if you make the wrong decision, there's going to be some consequences for that, but consequences, personal responsibility are all part of being free. That's what it is. But freedom is not liked around the world because personal responsibility is not liked around the world. It's not a popular thing. And certainly governments don't want people to be personally responsible because if they are, it takes away the power from the government because the government wants to be responsible for everyone. And what a wonderful position government's in to be responsible for people because they also have all the force. So when government says, I will take care of you, and then they don't, you have no recourse. So basically, you have to do what they say, get nothing out of it, or you die. Wonderful. Isn't that great? Well, Pope Francis says he loves China. That's a quote. And the Vatican hopes China has a great future ahead. The Chinese state-run newspaper said on Friday, citing visiting Vatican officials. The Pope, of course he does. I'm not a fan of the Catholic Church. I'm not, especially under this Pope. The Catholic Church today has nothing to do with Christ, God, or the Bible. It is a communist outpost of tyranny. They want to spread tyranny around the world, saying it's the right thing to do. That individualism, individual freedoms, capitalism, people being able to make it on their own, that's wrong. But throwing people in gulags and political prisons, that's a bright shining light of the future. China, by the way, not real big on free speech. So much. And I found this to be, well, interesting and something that may be happening coming to a Facebook near you. China held a drill last Thursday with internet service providers to practice taking down websites deemed harmful. Okay? Internet data centers, or IDCs, and cloud companies, which host website servers, were ordered to participate in a 3-hour drill to hone their emergency response skills. So they've got to be really quick to take down content that is not good for the state. They actually had a drill for this so they can take it down very quickly. And it doesn't spread ideas that could be harmful to the power of the leadership in China. Isn't that nice? So certainly a place that God-fearing people should look up to, right? Well, there are individuals out there that have, especially here in the United States, that have views of things that might be outside the mainstream. A lot of them end up at Trump rallies. Actually, you know, I say outside the mainstream, they're not. The people at the Trump rallies, those are the P1s, those are the base, those are reality, and those are the mainstream. Everybody else is just a small niche market of douchebags. There you go. But unfortunately, those douchebags wield a heck of a lot of power. And they don't really like listening to the rubes that go to Trump rallies. Thousands of people gathered outside Big Sandy Superstore Arena in Huntington. Big Sandy Superstore Arena. Okay, well, that's kind of funny. Isn't it? In Big Sandy Superstore. You can go see a show, buy you a douche. All right. Sorry. It happened yesterday. Waiting for President Donald Trump to show up. The first visitors arrived early Wednesday morning, so they camped out. While there were no clear estimates of the people waiting outside, the 9,000-seat arena was near capacity minutes before the president started his speech. Organizers said people traveled from as far as New York City to attend the rally. This is part of what it sounded like, just the crowd.
In the very, very beautiful state of West Virginia. And I am proud to stand before you and celebrate the hardworking people who are the absolute backbone of America. Thank you.
Right on. That's Donald Trump there in West Virginia. And as you can see, just the sound of that crowd. That is not something you heard for Hillary Clinton. That is not something you hear. That's what you heard for Barack Obama in the very beginning. Then we figured out who he was, and his crowds disappeared. And you could mark on a compass when people were going to, respond to what he said because it was scripted, right? It was just supporters that were paid people to be at these speeches. There was no groundswell. There was no groups of people out there really loving what President Obama did for this country because the people that he advocated for were hurt most by the policies of the Democrat Party. And they know that for a fact. And something else happened at this event. Well, the governor was there, the governor of West Virginia. His name is Jim Justice, which, by the way, I've, of course, watched this clip. Jim's kind of thicker. He's a big old boy. And if your name is Jim Justice, you should probably be svelte. You need to look like The Rock with a cowboy hat, right? I'm Jim Justice, and you better have an oversized hand cannon. 2 of them. Yeah. Right? If you're going to be Jim Justice. Or maybe he just walks around with like a gimp mask and a giant beheading axe. He's Jim Justice, right? I put a lot of stock in names. That's what I'm going to say. This is Mr. Justice.
Let me just say this to you as bluntly as I can say it. West Virginia, at the altar, when we had it done, like it or not like it, but the Democrats walked away from me. Now, today I would tell you with lots of prayers and lots of thinking, today I'll tell you as West Virginians, I can't help you anymore being a Democrat governor. So tomorrow, I will be changing my registration to Republican. As a coach, I would tell you it's time to run another play. I would also tell you this, and pay please close attention to this. My mom and dad were staunch lovers of Ronald Reagan, staunch Republicans. My mom and dad are no question in my mind in heaven right now, and they're both saying the same thing, but my mom is saying it more profoundly. And that is, she's saying, Jimmy, it's about damn time you came to your senses. Now, let me go one step further and say just this. What in the world is wrong with us as peoples? Have we not heard enough about the Russians?
So the governor, a Democrat, goes to a Trump rally and changes his party affiliation. That's a big, big deal. And I'm sure there's going to be some fallout for that, and there's going to be a lot of very unhappy people out there and a lot of happy people out there. But it does say something, okay? It says something. It says, well, two things, in fact. Number one, the Democrats are abandoning their own people, so people are switching. And number two, it says that the support for the things that were promised by Donald Trump is there. Okay? The support for that is there. When you hear different venues, when you hear different people talking about, oh, this repeal of Obamacare is awful, we can't get rid of Obamacare, those are people making money off of it. Okay? That's who they are. That's somebody who has something to gain. Normal human beings, people that just have to live with it, don't want it. There is no support for Obamacare. And the repeal and replace, there's no support for that either because it's just Obamacare light, and people don't want that. We want Obamacare gone as if it never happened. And then maybe put something in place where it could never happen again. We don't want it to fail. We want it to go away. If it fails, then we get single payer. That is the next thing. Ultimately, it's a big group of people that wish not to listen to their constituency. And I've told you this time and time and time again. It's the ruling class versus the rest of us. Okay? They'll lie to you to get your votes. Then they get into Washington and make themselves rich off of your back. Bernie Sanders, number one. He's the number one example of the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet. And the person that did that to his constituency. The man did not have a job until he was 40. Did not have a job until he was 40. I don't understand how you do that, but he did it somehow. And now he is a senator with 3 $600,000 plus homes. How the hell does that happen? I don't know. You become powerful and you can just steal. Pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. They don't want to listen to you. They don't want you to have a voice. And no matter how loudly you scream what you want to them, they are going to simply go against you. And I'm not just talking about the Democrats here. I'm talking about Republicans as well. I'm talking about the ruling class. The reason, let's just talk truthfully about this. Obamacare was a huge part of the election. Okay, it has been for a huge part of what has driven the power base to the Republican Party over the past 7 years. Okay, but everyone on the dais for the Republican Party was saying the same thing: repeal Obamacare, repeal Obamacare, repeal Obamacare. So everyone was saying the same thing. The thing that set Donald Trump apart is he also said, we're going to close down the border and we're going to build a big damn wall. That was what was different. That was what, and he spoke about it in a very frank way. He spoke about it in a way that normal people speak about it. And that's what gave him the edge over everybody else. Build a damn wall, and we're going to get Mexico to pay for it. Build a wall, we're going to get Mexico to pay for it. Immigration been a huge problem for a long time, and no one on either side of the aisle will listen to the American people. As a matter of fact, they will actively thwart the law. the government will. Just abandon law and order when it comes to immigration and security. And even with that, look, they know if you're in government, if you're a senator, if you're a congressperson, you know how much the American people want a border wall built. You know how much they want this illegal immigration scourge stopped. And many of them, I'm included, want all immigration stopped for at least 50 years, for 2 generations, because it's the right thing to do. It's right for America. It's right for our economy. It's right for our people. It's right for our safety. 50 years, no one. But that's not what you're going to get from the ruling class. The ruling class is going to make decisions based on their own best interest, and John McCain is no different.
70% of the lettuce that's consumed in the United States of America in the winter is grown in Yuma, Arizona. They use workers that come from across the border. And it's just a fact that that kind of labor comes from across the border. There is work that we need people to do, that we need it on a temporary basis, and people should be, as they have for years, to be able to rotate back and forth. So I would say that we need highly skilled workers, and I'm all in favor of that aspect of the proposal. But we also have to have the low-skilled workers that provide a lot of the work that Americans just simply will not do. But finally, it has to be part of an overall package. What about the dreamers? What about all these other aspects? What about the green card holders? What about those who are in the military? I want to work to reintroduce the same package that passed through the United States Senate and was never taken up in the House.
Right. You want amnesty. Amnesty for everybody, open borders. That is what John McCain advocates for. That is what the Gang of Eight bill would have done. It is insane. It is stupid, and it cannot happen. But they keep pushing it because that's what the powers that be want. They want to dilute the middle class. They want to make sure the middle class goes away and make sure they get poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer, because the poorer the middle class are, the more they have to rely on the government to survive, and the government's got them forever. Has all the power, and there will be no ability for individuals to rise up anymore, and that's what they're looking to do. And this whole garbage about jobs that Americans just won't do, I've heard that for years. That is a phrase that's been used since the days when I was in high school debating immigration policy as I think it was a sophomore or junior. We debated immigration policy. And I heard that back then. It's jobs Americans just won't do. And that is the biggest pile of horse hooey I've ever heard in my life. You're leaving out a crucial part of that. It's a job that Americans won't do for what you want to pay. That's right. For what you want to pay. No, Americans won't work for slave labor. And your entire argument about migrant labor is, well, it'll make lettuce more expensive. Then lettuce should be more expensive. The market should dictate how much lettuce costs, not your abnormal slave trade. If that's what keeps lettuce cheap is slave labor from overseas, then by God, we should be paying more for lettuce, right? Oh, and by the way, it's amazing. You know, it might jump up for a couple of years or whatever, but then there's going to be some price wars and things going on, and somebody's going to create a new device, and next thing you know, it's right back down to being as inexpensive as it ever was. And by the way, if lettuce were to go up in price, I don't think that's going to break the American economy, right? It's not even an argument. He's literally arguing for slaves in the United States. Everyone that is advocating for open borders is advocating for slaves in the United States. It is slavery in the United States, plain and simple. And they want it. It's just wrong. And we'll wrap up with this last story of something that, sometimes it's hard to ascertain between what is right and what is wrong. And I have a little phrase. I don't know if I'm the only person that says it. I came up with it. Maybe somebody else says it too. I don't know. But what is nice is rarely right, and what is right is rarely nice. That is a truth. That is a fact. And you must understand that. What it does is it separates your emotions from right and wrong. Your emotions do not dictate right and wrong. They do not. And when things are nice, it's because it makes you feel good that you did something. But many times it's not the right thing to do. It's not right for the other person. It doesn't really help them out. In fact, niceties are generally for you and very selfish because it makes you feel good. But it doesn't necessarily help that person on a long-term goal. As a matter of fact, it can put them on a path in life that makes it very difficult for them to survive. Here's the story. 6th grader, his name is Phil, experienced horrible bullying at school. In fact, it was so bad that he told his mother that he had contemplated suicide. But when she told her friend about this, the director of the United Motorcycle Enthusiasts, about it, he put a call out and dozens of bikers responded to help out this little kid. Here's the story.
Dear Lord Jesus, I just ask you so much to watch over Phil, man. I know how tough it can be.
The motorcycle community went above and beyond for a kid who says he was bullied at DeKalb Middle School near Fort Wayne.
They called me fat. Sometimes kids would come up and kick me in the wrong areas.
Phil's mom, Tammy, says the teasing became so extreme, her son told her he didn't want to live anymore.
It hurts a lot. So that's why I'm thanking Brett and everybody for being there. Because if it wasn't for them, I don't know what Phil would do this year.
So to show their support, 50 bikers escorted Phil to school and prayed for him.
Lord, I ask that you make your presence known to Phil as he goes to school.
It was his first time on a motorcycle. The motorcycle community also bought him school supplies and new clothing.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Brent Warfield is the director of United Motorcycle Enthusiasts. He organized the ride.
The motorcycle community is big on trying to get help for teenage suicide and bullying for the kids. It's just crazy. It's an epidemic these days.
He says Phil was glowing on the back of his bike, and if any bullies want to mess with him, Phil knows where to turn.
That we're there for you, Phil. If anything, if you need us, reach out, buddy.
Phil says his first day of school was a success, and he feels his biker buddies are to thank for that.
That guy guardian angel watching over me.
Well, 2 things. Number one, he said that sometimes they kick me in the wrong areas. Is there a right area to be kicked? I'm just wondering because I didn't know. I particularly don't like to be kicked anywhere. I think I know what he's saying, but it's as if there's a legal place to kick somebody and a righteous place to kick somebody. Bullying is good. Bullying is natural. Bullying is necessary. Okay? I'm tired of all this crap about going after the bullies. Now, understand that there is a difference between bullying and assault. When you physically shove somebody or attack somebody, that's assault. That's not bullying. Okay? It's not. And that's when adults step in to stop the assault. But the bullying, the verbal, the berating, those sorts of things are absolutely necessary in a young person's growth. I want to talk to Mom. Where's Dad at, by the way? There's no Dad. I didn't see him on there. This was a friend of the family. Now, I don't know what the deal is with Dad. Maybe he was a military member that died. I don't know. But Dad's not there. Okay? And it makes a really difficult job for Mom. I get you. But your job is not to coddle the little boy. Your job is to teach said little boy to stand up for himself. To give the boy self-worth, not self-esteem. And to teach him how to deal with, number one, his own emotions and other people righteously. That is your job. In this instance, that's not what happened. And I understand where this comes in. Especially men, even whether it's your kid or somebody else's kid, men have we have a protector sort of gene. That's the way we are. And when we see a wrong, when we see something going on, we want to step in and stop that and set it right. That's what we do. But that's our emotional reaction to things, and it's not necessarily the right thing. To make this big show in front of the school and you drive the kid up on a Harley, it's nice. It's really nice, and it makes you feel good that you did something. But what did you do? Did you teach him how to deal with people on his own terms? Did you teach him to take care of himself? Or did you teach him to rely on others and the state for the rest of his life? Did you teach him to be self-sufficient? Or did you teach him to be a sheep? And which one in the future will serve him better? All right, that is it. The Michael Newman Show is over. Thank you for joining me. Go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. There you can contact me. Just click the contact link. You can also check me out on Twitter. Follow me, tweet me, all that cool stuff. Newmaniac1 is my Twitter handle. And of course, please, please, please support the show. Support me in two different ways. Number one, whenever you get the links to today's show or any show that you like, please send those out on Facebook, tweet them out, retweet them to get to the largest audience of people possible. That would be great if you do that for me. And also go to the website, click on support, and that takes you to Patreon, where you can support me directly for as little as $1 a month. All right, have a great weekend.
See ya!